Okay, this is the second quarter market report for Northwest Michigan, and what we saw was that all boats continue to rise in the real estate market. However, they're rising at different levels meaning different price points. So the lower the price point, the faster the activity, the faster values are rising. The higher the price point, the more settled it is. And if we break those price points up by segments of under 250, 250 to 500, and 500 and above, most of the activity for Northwest Michigan is under 250. But in that price range, we're seeing inventories are tight. The number of homes available for sale are off about 20%. Sales are off about 17% in that segment for that same reason. If there aren't enough homes on the market to buy, you're going to have sales decline. Values, of course, that means demand is exceeding supply, so values are up about 8%. So if you're looking in that price range, you know it's hard to find. There are multiple offers, particularly if you're looking in center city areas, specifically Traverse City, downtown, but even center city Frankfort, Michigan is stronger than the outlying markets. So where there's that community activity seems to be strongest, but certainly downtown Traverse City is one of the strongest in the state. But in that price point, you were seeing good activities. We're seeing month supply of inventory at about 3 months for Northwest Michigan. That's very strong. That's clearly a seller's market. And we're seeing the number of homes that are selling in less than 60 days at about 40 or 50% of transactions. So, I'm sorry, less than 90 days, or 40 or 50% of transactions, which is historically very strong. In the 250 to 500, same trends, just a little quieter. Inventory is more balanced there, down a little bit from last year, but not dramatically. Values are up maybe 5% versus 8%. And sales are up as well, because there's a little bit more plentiful inventory in that marketplace. But the trends are basically the same there. More of a balanced market, but still leaning towards a seller's market. In the $500,000 and above, we had some interesting statistics. Sales are actually up there. Inventories are down. And values are actually up in that price range. So the second quarter showed some strong statistics for over $500,000, but we'd actually expect to see that because that's typically the strongest quarter. It's where the most activity is coming into play. That's sort of the end of the second quarter into the beginning of the third quarter. But nonetheless, all that said, it still is, historically speaking, one of the strongest markets for the upper end that we've seen in a number of years. It's just relatively speaking to the under 500 market, won't feel as strong. There's as much activity. It's a thinner market, but it's still, historically speaking, pretty strong. But as a seller, enjoy the activity. Be aware of which market segment that you're in, so you have the right expectations of speed of market and amount of activity. As a buyer, we think that this inventory shortage, the low inventory market, will be here for a couple of years. So don't wait. Don't expect the market, suddenly inventory to jump in the marketplace. Act now if you're ready to go. Buy now. Values are still reaching in downtown Traverse City. They're probably up to maybe slightly above peak 2005. The surrounding county markets are approaching that. So we're clearly not overheated, even though values have risen quite a bit. We're not in an overheated valuation time frame. So don't be afraid to act, don't be afraid to buy. There'll be times where you'll be overbidding for some properties, particularly in the lower price ranges. Don't be afraid of that. The value is there. Take advantage of this great real estate market. Thanks.